Hello everyone! Welcome back to my channel. My name is Peyton. I'm here to talk about books. Lots of books. All the books. I am so freaking excited. Because I got some emails this morning that I had been approved for some ARCs. I feel like a celebrity. And I know some of you on here are like, whatever, it's like I get ARCs all the time, it's not a big deal. It's a big deal to me, especially when some of them are my most anticipated reads of this year. Big deal to me. Okay, and they're all delivered on my Kindle. So for this reading vlog, I'm going to be reading 3 of those ARCs that were graciously approved for me on NetGalley. So this is my first foray with NetGalley. ARCs, I've gotten ARCs before, way back when I had a Bookstagram account and was very active on that. I would get some ARCs sent mainly from indie publishers, but it's been a minute since I've gotten some ARCs because I had a hiatus from my Bookstagram account, and that was last year, and then I started doing this and I was like, you know what? I can just try. The worst they say is no. So for this vlog, I'm reading 3 February releases. They all actually come out on February 13th, so by the time this vlog comes out, it'll be pretty close to the release date. And yeah, I'm hoping some of you like them or are excited by some of them. But let's get into it. The first ARC that I am so psyched to have is An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. This is on my list of 24 books I was looking forward to in 2024. I will link that down below so you can see. Especially since I just read Carmilla like a week ago, which is what this book is inspired by. I'm really excited to dive into some queer, dark academia, hopefully vampiric, gothic type of tale. So this follows Laura and Carmilla, who turn out to be competing students at this college. It's set in a really remote part of Massachusetts. They become academic rivals, dueling for the attention of their poetry professor, De La Fontaine. Their rivalry blossoms into something far more delicious. Laura must confront her own strange hungers. Tangled in a sinister game of politics, bloodthirsty professors, and dark magic, Laura and Carmilla must decide how much they are willing to sacrifice in their ruthless pursuit of knowledge. I'm just thinking, because I read A Dowry of Blood last year, some spice, some hot spice, spicy. So that's what I'm gonna start off with that. But the other 2 books that I was kindly gifted are The Briar Book of the Dead by A.G. Slatter. I've not read from this author before, but the premise sounded really interesting. For fans of Hannah Witten and Ava Reid, and I'm a new Ava Reid stan, so I could not request this. This is about a family of witches called the Briar family, and they are in this town called Silverton. They have some clearance from the church in Silverton to practice witchcraft and help the local residents with any ailments or needs. And the main character, Ellie, is the first non-witch born into this family. Ellie's cousin Audra rises to the title of Briar Witch when her grandmother dies, brings Ellie in to help her within her new role. Ellie soon finds out that she can see and speak to the dead, and all these secrets about the family and the town are revealed. I like a good family drama, especially about witches, and this ever-growing feeling of doom from evil outside of the town. It just sounded really interesting. I think the cover's really sick. And the last book on this list is Among the Living by Tim Levin. This is a horror thriller science fiction, and the fact that it's horror in the Arctic, I was like, yes, I'm here for it, because I love The Thing. The Thing is one of my favorite horror movies of all time, so let's go. It's about 2 estranged friends, Dean and Bethan, who come together again after some time apart, and they're brought together to these network of caves in the Arctic. Whereas Bethan has been more on the environmental side, trying to protect the landscape and keep these caves as they are, don't disturb them. Dean is more on the academic scientific side, where they want to explore the cave's networks and document any type of scientific findings. And by excavating any materials that are in the cave, Dean and his team unearthed something within the cave that had been frozen for however many millions of years. Probably not millions. Many millennia, so yeah. Fleeing the terrors emerging from the caves, Dean and Bethan and their rival teams undertake a perilous journey on foot across unpredictable and volatile landscapes. The ex-friends must learn to work together if they are going to survive, and more importantly, stop the horror from spreading from the wider world. So I have a gothic horror, a gothic fantasy, and then a horror sci-fi. All coming out on February 13th. I just got a new cozy chair, so I'm going to start An Education in Malice, sit in that cozy chair, and read until I fall asleep. That's the plan for tonight. So I'm excited. Some more coffee. It's on my Kindle, a cute little Kindle. They're all gonna be my honest reviews of these books in exchange for them, so I'm excited. But you know, let's get to reading. We're about 32% through An Education in Malice. Love that you're like automatically transported. So lyrically described and so beautifully described, and oh, I think S.T. Gibson's writing like stepped up a notch from A Dowry of Blood. But I also did the audiobook of A Dowry of Blood, so I might just be misremembering because I wasn't looking at words on paper. But oh, I like it. There's so much tension. I really like the rivalry between Laura and Carmela and how strongly they're vying for the attention of their professor, de La Fontaine, and how much they just want to be in her spotlight. And it's written in dual perspectives. Also, let me back up. This is set in 1968 in upstate Massachusetts. It's a women's college too. She describes them in like the fashion of the day and tweed skirts and like clogs and knee-high socks, and oh, it's just like I love this. And I don't know, I just really like the dual POVs of both of them and how they see each other. As much as they hate each other, they're also like very much attracted to each other, and I love how it's written. It's just like, hey. I want to be obsessed over by two hot beatnik lesbians in the late 60s. Because you know that like I can just hear like the coffee house and all there's drinking like bottomless espressos and listening to poetry, and it's yes. They're also just like they're so awful to each other, and they're complete role reversals of who they are of who they are written in Carmela. But they're also like really childish too, like how they handle feedback. This a lot, like stomping their foot. I don't know, sometimes there's some instances in how they're described during their feuds that they're just like, I won't cry, and I crumpled the paper in my hand and put it in my pocket. Like imagine them just staring at each other. Because they're described like they look at each other all the time, and they're just like bitches. Carmela is described as a genius, but also kind of a bitch. Laura is from Mississippi, and she wants to get out of her small town. She has hopes of being a preacher, which I was like, okay, that's a move. She's kind of outgrown her small town gazette and journal and wants to pursue writing. And she gets selected to be in this poetry class that is really competitive, highly selective, and the professor is De La Fontaine, who's very fashionable, like very big personality, very learned, and she like talks about I sound like an idiot. I can't even like make an analogy about a poet because I don't know many poets. She immediately like singles out Laura to get her to read on her first day in class, and Carmilla is like immediately like, who is this bitch? I'm the favorite. And so that's what starts it. Yeah, I'm only 30% through. I'm really liking it. I'm not even tired. It's 9 o'clock. I'm probably gonna keep reading late, but I'm really enjoying it so far. So high hopes. It's starting to get like really, it's been tense since I started the book, but it's starting to get really tense and like a little steamy. So reading update is the next day. I'm 50% through An Education in Malice. Holy shit. I love it. I fell asleep last night, but I probably could have finished it last night. I did not want to stop reading it. I am so hooked. I'm taking a breather 50% at the 50% mark to update you all, but I want to just go back to reading this. It's so good. The way she writes is so beautiful and so atmospheric. Picturing the school in October in Upper Massachusetts in the woods. It's getting colder, and just the way she writes, she has such a beautiful lyrical prose to what she writes, and you want to live in these pages. Hold on. I've been highlighting stuff. Oh no, I have to charge my Kindle. Oh, it's gonna die soon, so I have to like plug it. October crept in on quiet stocking feet. I applied myself diligently to my writing, doing everything within my power to create work that would touch even the worldly and hardened heart of Miss D. I didn't so much grow accustomed to Laura's presence in my academic life as I made space for it, giving her a wide berth and keeping my eyes on my own paper. I tried to internalize what De La Fontaine had said about needing a foil, a challenger. I imagined Laura and me as jousters, racing headlong on sweating stallions and crashing lances into each other until someone was tossed to the ground. I mean, that's just like a little... I love how S.T. Gibson writes their rivalry, and they're kind of like shooting back and forth poetry, and I was like, oh, I want to know these girls. I do. I want to know these girls. I want to hang out with these girls. Like I said, it's in the late 60s, like fashion is booming, and yeah, I just like want to be in this world with like the couch, like the velvet couches and the dark wood and the libraries, and yeah, I'm exactly 50% through. Some stuff has just happened that's it was expected, but it was also like a little unexpected, and I'm just like, oh shit. I just can't wait to keep reading. I'm loving it, and I'm so excited for everyone else to get their hands on it. I'm so lucky I got my grubby little paws on that. I will update you all later. I'll probably be done by the next time I update you. I finished An Education in Malice like 5 minutes ago. I just don't think I should get excited for things. I feel like I just ruined them. I liked it. Overall, I really enjoyed it. S.T. Gibson is such a beautiful, lush, poetic writer. Descriptions of the school and the surrounding area and just like tiny, like little details. I just want to eat it all up. It's so good. But what I think An Education in Malice suffers from, which A Dowry in Blood didn't, I feel like this book suffers from its more style over substance. I just wanted more. I wanted more out of the characters, especially Laura and Carmilla. Laura's interested in becoming a priest, and she's lived a sheltered life in Mississippi, but that's it. That's all you get. That's all the only sentence you get. It's like there's not really a reason why. But she's also like says she has this deep, darkness inside of her. And her attraction to Carmilla is like she doesn't know what she's going to unleash. And I'm like, is this going in like a 50 Shades direction or something? Like, how dark are we talking? And that's it. Alright, I might talk about spoilers a little bit, so if you don't want to hear that, just skip on ahead. But I felt like the tension that you felt between Laura and Carmilla, the will they, won't they, it's so short-lived. It's not very drawn out. It's just like, oh, okay. And I wanted more of that. Like, I wanted more of them just being vile to each other. I just thought that was really entertaining, and like, I felt like you were learning more about them individually. And The chapters are split between Laura and Carmilla. I don't think I could tell the difference between the two. They didn't have a very separate voice, and I had to like double check, like, oh, this is Carmilla's chapter. Oh, this is Laura's chapter. It just wasn't, it was hard to tell the two of them apart in some instance. And I wanted to know more about De La Fontaine. I wanted to know more about her and her life. I wanted more about the school and more dark academia, like this was described. I just wanted more. I still overall really liked it. It's just I felt like a little, after I finished it, I'm like, man, I guess I wish I had this thing, and which is a bummer, because I was really looking forward to this book, and I was obviously very grateful that I got a chance to read it early. That being said, I didn't hate it. I just didn't love it as much as I thought I would. I think I'm gonna read, just because this was like light horror. It was still brutal in some instances, but I think I'm gonna read the horror arc I got, Among the Living by Tim Levin, next, just to break things up a little bit, because the other one is, The Briar Book of the Dead, is more of a darker fantasy. So I think I'm gonna break it up a little bit and just have this horror. But yeah, I'm excited about this. I am excited about Among the Living just because Luke and I have started watching the new season of True Detective Night Country in Alaska, but that same type of cold wilderness, cold environment, and scientists, and like I'm just very much intrigued to pick this up. Okay, I'm about 35% through Among the Living by Tim Levin. I'm liking it a lot so far. It has more action than I was expecting, at least at the beginning. It's leaned more towards action than horror, but yeah, I'm excited to see where this is going to go. Two groups of people who are in the Arctic Circle. One of the groups are climate activists and want to protect the landscape, and the other group are illegal miners searching for rare metals and materials, and basically they come out there to look for those things and then report to bigger companies to come out there and mine and mess up the landscape. So two people, Bethel, who's with the activists, and Dean, who is with the illegal miners, they have history together, they know each other. While Dean's group is digging, they uncover something in this deep network of caves underground that's been frozen up until recently, so about 40,000 years. They are around when it wakes up, or thaws. But yeah, that's basically as far as I've gotten. That's like the whole that's like all the exposition so far. I've never read this author before. The writing's pretty good. I will say there's been one or two dabs of something being like overly dramatic in my opinion, and like this is like horror sci-fi. So one of the guys in Bethel's group of activists, he's older, he's been doing what he's been doing for like over 40 years. So he's like the dad of the group and like the philosophical one. They have like this flashback of them being in the rainforest and asking each other what scares them the most. He is a climate activist. He deals specifically with areas that need to be left untouched and prevent ecosystem collapse, and mainly not to let infectious diseases get unleashed in the permafrost in the Arctic. Diseases. Making sure these caves and networks and anything that is thawing, areas that are thawing quicker than the other ones, completely sealed off and just kept from the public. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid? So having that knowledge in mind that that they've been working specifically with this is part of their job. He says, I'm afraid of a world-ending disease getting unleashed from the ice. I'm paraphrasing, that's basically what he said. It's like, dude, that's like saying, I'm afraid of being at a gas station and a fire starts. And then you go work at a gas station. Like, it's just... He's like really dramatic about it. He's like this 3 or 4 long paragraph monologue. I'm hoping things will get more on the horror side, because right now it's being more action-y drama. So yeah, but I just wanted to give you all a little update. I'm gonna keep reading. I'm actually super cozy. I have a Stardew Valley music loop going on that I found on YouTube, and I'm on my heat blanket and ready to read more about possible world annihilation by a disease that's 40,000 years old. Hello, I owe you all. So dreary here for like a week now, and every time I wake up the last few days I've just been so tired because it's just gray and dismal out. Anyway, I owe you all a reading update for Among the Living. I'm liking it. I was laughing a bit last night with some of the characters' choices and some of their dialogue, but there's so much action in this that it's keeping me interested, and like I've been reading it really fast. I'm about 70% through. I'm gonna finish it today. I started yesterday, so if that gives you any indication. It reminds me of The Thing, which is my favorite horror movie. More so due to the setting and what's going on. Digging up something that's been frozen solid for 40,000 plus years, and it's like this mesh of different things. It's reminding me a bit of Resident Evil, which is awesome. Like the action and the creatures. I think this is really good. I'm like pleasantly surprised. It's not that I thought it was going to be a bad book, but I guess starting off, I was just like, this again. I've read like 3 books like this. Not like this, but like more the Spore type of realm, and I'm just like, okay, I'm kind of tired of it. Such an action-packed take on that subgenre of horror. The writing's good. Like he's a good writer. I would definitely read this author again. I'm very interested to see how this concludes because it's very short on time. It's so creepy, and couple that with they don't have any supplies really in the Arctic, which is very sparse to begin with. Not only do they have to deal with the elements and the landscape and polar bears, I swear to God, if there's like a spore zombie infected polar bear, I'm going to freak out. Like, that's sick. To deal with all this stuff on top of this thing that's been released. It's good. I like it. The only thing that's a little bit annoying is some of the dialogue choices just feel kind of weird. Like, sometimes you don't really know who's talking, or they just say completely like dumb things. It's just like, yeah, dude, I know. We have to go. Like, it's kind of repetitive in that sense. Like, we're not stupid. And these are all supposed to be pretty smart people. I'm gonna finish this tonight and I will update you all soon. I haven't really been vlogging that much. The lighting has not been great, if you couldn't tell. I don't know if you can tell. I've just kind of been a goblin this weekend. Luke's been busy, and stuff, so I've just been me at the house reading these arcs. If you're new to NetGalley, don't request a ton of arcs because you might get approved for most of them, and some of them all come out in the same month. But I'm having fun. Like, this totally threw a wrench in my TBR, but I've liked what I've gotten to read so far. I was a little disappointed, but I liked An Education in Malice, and Among the Living's been quite the surprise actually, so I'm really looking forward to finish this. And I'll have one more for this vlog. Okay, I just finished Among the Living. That was really good. I heard other people review the arc and said they had just kind of meh feelings about it. And I'm really glad that I requested it and took a chance because it was really good. Like, I thought it started off a little, I was unsure at the beginning, like I thought this might be more action-y and dramatic than horror, but it took a turn, especially during like the last chunk of it. It was a good horror. Like, I would definitely read Tim Levin again because that was really good. Kind of like if The Last of Us was set in the Arctic or Alaska. That'd be really cool. But like something more ancient than that. I wouldn't say, maybe you could say it's like folklore too, because they talk about like the small town or the island where they are. They talk about like the local legends and what they call these things that come up from underneath the ice, lying dormant for 40,000-50,000 years or longer, and they had like names for them. Anyway, that was really good. Pretty sick body horror. But one more book for this vlog. It's The Briar Book of the Dead. Let's get some dark fantasy, or I don't know if it's dark actually. Let's get some fantasy. want to give a little reading update. I'm about 80 pages in to the Briar Book of the Dead. I really like it. I have to read it pretty slow because it's so descriptive, but that sounds like a negative, but it's not. AJ Slatter, I've never read this author before. I can totally see the comparison with Ava Reed. Like, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous writing. Describing this town and all of its residents and what they're doing and what the time of day is and how the air smells and the colors of the sky and the rustle of fabric and the noise, like the animal sounds. It's just so... I am seeing this town in my head. This town called Silverton. I am seeing it in my head. So I'm just totally enraptured. It is about a town called Silverton, which is basically run by a family of female witches. All the main characters are female, and they are like boss-ass bitches. They are running this town. They all do different things. Main character, Ellie Briar, is the only non-witch to be born in this family in decades, like forever. And so she, after the death of her great aunt, has been named Stewart of Silverton, and her cousins are all like the Briar Witch, like the medicinal person, and then like the sheriff slash person who takes care of stuff in town. None of the women know their dad's name, and they don't really care because they're Briar witches and they don't need men. And there hasn't been a man born into that family in generations, and like, I am here for it. They're also, the Briar family, witch family, is also living in a time where you are burnt at the stake if you are a witch. The Briars, however, have made a deal with the higher up ministry religious people. Like, it's like I can't think of the word right now. The church. The church. Protect the people, heal the people, but only use your magic for good. Don't be naughty. And so that's how they've been operating in this town of Silverton for a very long time. Beginning of this book, Ellie's newly named Stewart, to the chagrin of her cousins, who, by the way, aren't really a fan of Ellie because she's not a witch. They don't really see her as one of their own, and kind of just wish she wasn't a part of the family. Like, there's something wrong with her. Book starts on the eve of this celebration, the town celebration of this festival called Balefire, which is basically to kick off the winter solstice and make for a nice, safe winter, and everyone they love stays safe. And something really tragic happens at this celebration. Just like Ava Reed's, like Juniper and Thorn. Pretty dark so far. Like, highly suggest looking up trigger warnings before picking this up. Like, I was kind of unprepared for what happened, so I would definitely look up all the content warnings before diving into this. And I'm only 20% into the books. I love the fully female cast. There's some awesome sapphic and queer representation, and yeah, so far just women being bad bitches, and I'm here for it. I'm vibing. The dogs are here. See Rosie. And Mackie. Oh yes, you want to say hi, sleepy boy. But I think we're going to make the very exhaustive trek from the couch to the bed and call it a night soon. I'm probably going to stay up reading because I don't want to put this down. Hi! You guys haven't heard from me in a bit. It's been a bit. Last time we spoke, I was really into it. It was really beautifully written, and I was excited to see where the story was going. And there's just been a lot of stuff going on in the town. And during her grandmother's funeral, Ellie slips and hits her head and gets blood on cemetery stone, which can now make her see the dead and communicate with the dead. And that's interesting because there hasn't been a ghost in Silverton in over 400 years or however long. It's been a very long time since I think her great-grandmother or ancestor banished ghosts from Silverton to begin with. So that's odd that there's a lot of ghosts hanging around. And so with the guidance of her dead grandfather who's a ghost, Ellie is now the death speaker. She has this Book of the Dead which records her conversations with the dead and gives them absolution. or figures out how they can rest and move on from Silverton. That's so interesting, so great. I'm exactly 50% through this book. It is 368 pages long. I feel like I've been reading this forever. It is so slow going. And I will say this still. It is one of the most beautiful books, fantasy books I've read yet. It does rival with Ava Reid, for sure, her writing. I can see and smell and taste everything. Everyone in the town is accounted for. You get to know everyone. Everything's so lush and colorful. All the food described, it's like mouth-watering. It's what I imagine it would be like living inside of a Thomas Kinkade painting. Anyway, I think that it's so loaded. It's not even that, because it's so beautiful. It's so like description heavy that the plot is really suffering. I don't even know if I could really tell you what the plot is about. Other than that, right now, Ellie's just being a steward, dealing with issue after issue after issue that arises in Silverton, while her cousin, the Briar Witch, in Ellie's opinion, isn't really doing much. And Ellie's out here talking to the dead, which her cousins don't know about yet, and solving all the town's problems. But on the outside of the story, there's all this weird stuff going around with the land, and families are disappearing. So it's like really hard to pinpoint what is actually happening in the plot, because there's such long breaks between movement. God, and like the two arcs I read before this were over 300 pages, and I flew through those. This just feels like I'm wading through the most beautiful mud, having a really hard time keeping me invested and interested. Kind of like if this was an RPG, and Ellie had quests or tasks that she had to check off. That's what it feels like. And now go talk to this person, and now go deliver this. And now go check on this person. It's like on and on and on. Ugh! I'm exactly 50% of the way through. I'm so curious where it's going, but I also am getting to the point where I don't care because it's just so drawn out. Alright, I will check in when I've made significant progress. Which I don't know when that's going to be. I want to get this video up by... Today is Thursday, and I want to get this ARC video up by Sunday, but I think I'll give myself some grace. But talk soon. Hopefully I finish it by the next time I check in. I made it. I finished the Briar Book of the Dead, and God, what a slog. It's not like it was bad. That's like the worst part. The writing was so mwah, but it completely drowned the characters and the plot. And I hate saying that because I normally like really descriptive fantasy that's really lush, like Ava Reid and Robin Hobb even. Don't mind a slow burn. I'm buckled in, I'm here, but nope, nah, wasn't for me. But that's it. Thank you all for watching. I'm gonna keep this brief because I know this vlog is getting a little long, and I'm getting it out later than I wanted to. And I think this might be the last themed video. I know I have one more in February that I'm really excited about, but it might be the last themed video for a while because it's a little... I'm just too much of a mood reader, and I don't know, I think I either need to plan these differently and space them out, or yeah, just don't request arcs that come out all in the same month in the same day. 3 of the arcs I talked about in this vlog, An Education in Malice, Among the Living, and the Briar Book of the Dead all come out on February 13th. I highly recommend Education in Malice, even if I was a little meh on it. I feel like I've seen mostly very positive, loving reviews of it. Among the Living was a great surprise for me. Again, would recommend it if you are into horror, especially cold Arctic horror. And I mean, you can take your chances with the Briar Book of the Dead if you've read that author before and like her style. Yeah, go for it. It's just, I think it was not my type of read. As always, thank you for clicking, thank you for watching, and I'll have another video for you all soon. Bye!